Hi, everyone. So I wanted to get on today and do a video about two books that I've read recently. And I'm going to write the title. I wrote the title down so I wouldn't, say the wrong title or the wrong author. So the first one is called Splitting and that's written by Bill Eddy. He's interesting. He is not only a licensed clinical social worker, he also has a law degree. So he's a practicing, I'm not sure what he does now. I think he's more consulting. He was a practicing attorney as well as family court mediator for many, many years. But because of his background in counseling, he is very familiar with personality disorders and difficult people, high conflict divorce. According to that book that I read of his, he said something like 2/3 or so. I may get the exact number, but it was approximately, I think he said 50% to 2/3 of high conflict divorce. These are people that are years and years later still having to go into court and get a judge to help them out because an agreement is not possible. And he said 50% to 2/3 of those cases involve someone with a cluster B personality disorder. They are antagonistic, high conflict, very disagreeable, incredibly hard to make agreements with. I do have some history of this without, naming names and things like that, but I definitely have a history, past experiences with this, and it's difficult. So the book was helpful. It tells you kind of what to expect out of family court, what to do, what not to do. It's written more for those who you believe have narcissistic personality disorder or borderline personality disorder. It touches a little bit on antisocials, which is basically sociopaths, antisocial personality disorder, but it does not really delve deeply into that personality pathology. It's more borderline and narcissistic. But it gives you good ideas of what to expect, what to do, what not to do, kind of how to find an attorney. Now, there's kind of like two parallel movements going on right now. If you go to One Mom's Battle, the website or the Facebook page, Tina Swithin was able to got divorced from her ex who was narcissistic. Eventually, I believe, he gave up. Eventually, he terminated parental rights altogether, but it was a long battle for her. They're more trying to educate judges and attorneys on cluster B personality disorder, and then it's not always, because family courts they make this assumption, wrongfully so, that it's always both sides. And a lot of times, the majority of times, it is not both sides. It's one person who's very disagreeable and almost likes fighting. So that book is good from a divorce standpoint and what to expect from family court. However, there are other movements who really think that these people should not, because they tend to be abusive, if not physically, emotionally, and psychologically, that they, shouldn't have as much of an involvement in their children's lives. I'm going to reserve my thoughts, and I'm simply giving information from other sources that I have looked at. So that's one book. The other book is Outsmarting the Sociopath Next Door, and that's written by Dr. Marcia Stout. She said, so she's a psychologist, and she had been coming across people. I don't know if she had a website or how these people were finding her, but she wrote this is a follow-up to the first book, was called, I think it's The Sociopath Next Door or something like that, similar title. And she got so many responses to that book that she wrote, because that book, I haven't read it. I believe it outlines what to look for. If you think you know a sociopath or you're dealing with one, you might be married to one, you might be related to one. The one that I read, Outsmarting, talks about how to deal with these people if you have to. for whatever reason. It might be work, might be divorce, might be marriage. I mean, who knows what the relationship would be. So she does a really, really good job of giving examples of what sociopathic behavior looks like, as well as what drives that. The no remorse, no empathy, and no conscience, doing things without ever feeling guilty or sorry about it. She also included in that book, towards the end, there's a chapter that very, very well, because I've known both types of people, so this is helpful to me, very clearly defines the difference between narcissistic personality disorder and then antisocial personality disorder, which is considered, that's what you refer to as sociopath. Some of them are psychopaths and not all of them. It's important to note not all psychopaths commit crimes. So, antisocial is sometimes just against the rules of society and against society's standards, but they might be law abiding. They're totally against society and kind of like a flip you to society and what you think and what other people say I should do. They're going to do the opposite. That is literally how they think, but they don't all break the laws. And part of that is because they don't want to get caught. They, want to stay on the free world. They don't want to be in jail. Some of them do go to jail. But anyway, so I found that to be very helpful. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, like you've never heard the word narcissistic, you probably heard the word sociopath, but you've never heard the phrase antisocial personality disorder, great. That means you hopefully don't have difficult people in your life. However, if you are looking at this video, I'm thinking you probably maybe are wondering, you may have come across someone like this, that kind of thing. So I hope this is helpful. Those two books were really, really helpful for me in terms of legally what to expect, or in other life relationship situations, what to do and not to do. And it's really good because regardless of what type you're talking about, NPD or ASPD, they have a tendency to hook people because they're antagonistic, and then they'll turn around and tell you that you started it, or you're to blame. Nothing's ever their fault. So if that sounds at all familiar, you might want to check out literature on cluster B personality disorder, specifically narcissistic personality disorder or antisocial personality disorder. That's kind of in a nutshell: no empathy, no accountability, will not take accountability for their actions, and nothing is their fault. Everything is everyone else's fault. And they'll kind of go around making antagonistic, inflammatory statements and then telling you it's your fault. Or you made them do it, or you started it, or you're picking a fight, or whatever it is. It's a lot of projection. And they're very disagreeable and don't have the ability to look at themselves. So that's sort of like personality disorder in general. That's one of the components. They're not lack of self-awareness. And psychologically, that is referred to as mentalization, being able to understand that you're a person, but that other people are other separate people, and other people have feelings. Personality disorder people don't have that ability. They don't have that mentalization skill. So anyway, this is a new channel, so I would love it if you could like the video, subscribe, and then make some comments or questions so we can maybe generate some dialogue below in the comment section. And I look forward to making more videos in the future, and I will see you next time.